Hey everybody, I am Ian of Austin and I am here with Marlene and we are going to talk about all sorts of things related to real estate. Hopefully, my hat's falling off my shoulder. Let me pause for just a second and say I got this hair thing done today and so I've never done a video without my hat. So I'm just going to leave it here so you don't forget about the hat, but at the same time the conversation is just going to move forward. So pay no attention to it. Okay, Marlene. Sorry about that little that little intermission type thing. Tell us about yourself. I don't want to tell people about you. I want you to tell people about you.
Anything?
Yeah, anything.
So I'm an agent here in Dallas, Texas. I moved here with my husband on 2016. So we've been here for 4 years, and I've been an agent for a little bit over 3 years. What else can I say?
Well, you can tell people how we met.
Oh yeah, so whenever we got here, I didn't know what I was gonna do. My husband didn't know what he was gonna do. So we started working, and we finally gathered some money. We rented an apartment, and then we were like, okay, we have an extra room. So we started doing Airbnb, which is like type of like house hack, but it was like apartment hack.
Yep.
And Ian happened to stay in our Airbnb, and that's how we met. And he was like, hey, I'm an agent in Austin. I'm an agent in Dallas. I think I was just starting. Was it that long ago that we met?
Right.
I think
It was so long ago. It just blows my mind.
Time passed so fast. Well, and this is the house. We bought it last year. But yeah, it was
I actually want to touch on that. So statistically, it's something like less than 50% of agents have ever bought their own home.
No way.
Seriously. So the fact that I'm losing my hat. The fact that you are a homeowner and you've gone through the process is incredible. I think it really is.
Yeah, no, we really like it. And I like to, how do you say it? Okay, so like disclaimer, English is not my first language. So I'm going to be asking you some stuff, which I hope it's okay by you.
No, of course. I actually think that's important. What other languages do you speak?
I speak Spanish, and I honestly love languages. So I started on trying to learn a couple more. So some French, a little bit of Italian, but that's it.
Nice. I think that's amazing. That's good. And that's good for people to know. Anybody who wants to have a conversation with you.
Yes, bilingual.
That's how you learn.
Yes. I lost my train of thought. I don't remember what I was saying, but
you started saying you were going to ask me something, and then I tried to divert the question elsewhere so you didn't have to ask me anything.
Smart. Okay.
All right, let's see. What was the next thing? Oh. So you talked about you being an agent. You've been an agent for about 4 years. What would you say the market is like where you're at in Dallas? And whereabouts in Dallas? Because Dallas is a big place, just like Austin's a big place.
That's true. So I cover a big part of Dallas, which I'm sure in Austin, like there's several areas that you move around, because now with technology, we're able to help our clients very well, even though we're covering several areas. So my office is downtown Dallas, but I work, the surrounding of downtown as well, as far as Fort Worth. But yeah, Richardson, Mesquite, Garland.
I guess here's the question. How far are you willing to drive for I'm going to throw a number out there, for a $500,000 property, to help someone who's buying a $500,000 property? How far are you willing to drive?
So I'm going to put it another way, right? Whenever
Please.
I have listings, I'm willing to drive a little further away because I don't have to be going there as much.
Right.
So whenever I have buyers and you have to be constantly showing them houses, I don't like driving more than 30, 40 minutes. I don't think I would do more than, 40. But for listings, I will. The tops would be an hour. So 20 minutes more.
Okay. And I think that's important. I don't think people, when they're looking for an agent, whether to list or to buy their home, I don't think they understand the time related to the activity or your position in the transaction. There are all sorts of things, but
Right.
it is important to consider when you're helping somebody out. Otherwise, we do what? What do? They're called referrals.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing a lot of people miss is referrals. So an example is, let's say I had a client that was moving to Dallas, and I could call Marlene and say, Marlene, listen, we've done business together. We like each other. I know that you're going to take care of my people the same way I would take care of my people. So what I'd like to do is introduce you, and then Marlene takes it from there, and she and I stay on the phone every once in a while. We're not like always on the phone, but once a week or so, and just keeping up to date, making sure that the person's getting taken care of, and then
Right.
they close and everybody's happy. I don't think people understand that, how that works.
Referrals, you mean?
Yeah, like people that aren't in real estate. Sorry, people that aren't in real estate. Maybe that's what I mean.
Whenever we feel like somebody's able to take better care of our clients, then for sure refer them out. Being the case location wise, which is our case,
Yes.
you're not going to be able to serve a seller or a buyer the same way I can in Dallas, because I'm in Dallas. It would
Because
be
you're there.
2 hours to help somebody, which makes it pretty inconvenient to show houses or to list houses or everything.
Could you imagine if you had a listing in Austin and you were the listing agent? Like that would just be ridiculous. You'd have to drive down here every time there was a call. Not every time, but often enough to where you wouldn't do it again, I guess. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, so the good thing about, like, let's say somebody in Austin is trying to move to Dallas, it's good for them to speak with you because you have those connections, those relationships with other agents, not even to Dallas, to like somewhere else, you know, and they just know you as an agent because you care about those people. So you're going to be able to interview agents, you know, wherever they're looking to move, to choose the one that, you know, you're an agent, you know the questions to ask. So
yeah, instead of just someone who's never gone through the process, they don't really know what to ask. It's like, you know, when someone just gets out of high school, but then they get a manager job and then they have to interview people for other jobs. It's like, wait, what's happening? No offense to those of you in high school. I'm just saying. It happens. People are put in positions. So we as agents can interview other agents and we know what to look for. We know when people are good at their job. So how's the market there in Dallas? I was going to say Arlington. Sorry, in Dallas.
So you know what? I feel like there was a lot of speculation, especially with, you know, everything that's going on. What was going to happen. I didn't even know, you know, if it was going to slow down or pick up. I feel that whenever this whole thing started, it did slow down in the sense that some clients who got fired, we couldn't complete the transaction if we were in the middle of the transaction because now if somebody gets fired, they can't get the loan from the bank. But other than that, I think that the market's been doing great. Honestly, I think Texas, it's very resilient. Is that the word, resilient?
Yes.
To changes, right? So, and I would like to hear from your side as well. But in this side, things has been crazy. Even this last couple of weeks, I think the spring market, how they call it, is just, it was a little bit late, but it's here now. And I put under contract, I think, 6 people in the last like 7 days and 2 listings. So it's been crazy. And I'm very grateful. And just people are moving. Some people have to sell, some people have to buy. And they were kind of scared at first when everything started, but now it's been crazy. What about in your market? How have you seen things over there?
It has very much been similar in that, like I've taken clients out and we've seen a house come on the market on a Thursday, put in an offer within 2 hours before seeing the house, before even going to the house. And I'm talking like offer letter, everything, a couple other secrets that I'm not going to share because I don't want to give out all my secrets. But yeah, like really doing a great job with the offer. And then by Friday, we found out that there were 10 other offers.
Yeah.
And I said, what? It's just incredible. So it was really astonishing that even in the midst of all of this, all of the unemployment, all of the furlough, all of the people that are struggling. And I mean, I know you're fortunate. I am also fortunately keeping busy. We're essential business, right? Because real estate kind of props up the economy. But with all that, I'm still surprised that there have been as many people moving or wanting to make a move. And I think really it's just because of interest rates across the board. Doesn't matter where you are, interest rates are incredible. And if you want to take advantage of it, I mean, when has there been a better time? If you look historically, 2008, maybe?
No, definitely. It's a great time. And that's what I've been telling my clients, you know, if you're buying, it's a great time. And also if you're selling, because I did notice a couple of, even my, the people that I represent to sell houses, some of them held back a little bit. So I see both ways as a win-win situation. People who are coming up front to try to sell the house, it's a great time because there's not as many houses for sale as, let's say, last year at this time. So both for buyers and sellers is a great market. And you know, if they choose a good agent to represent them, I don't see how they can lose out, to be honest.
Yeah. So what tips would you have for somebody who's thinking about buying a home today, but they've been on the fence? Like, what would you tell them?
I think we go back at what you were saying. Interest rates are great. And honestly, I think one of the best tips that I would have for somebody trying to buy a house would be to choose the agent wisely and then basically trust the process from there. Because once you make sure that you're working with the right agent, and a lot of people don't realize that they can actually choose and interview a couple, look at the reviews, look at how active they are in the market. After you do that, then trust the agent, because we are able to get you to the right people who can approve you, to help you understand better your finances, where you stand, if it's the right time for you. So basically what I would recommend is to get with, you know, an agent that you trust, and then from there trust the process, because we're able to help you see if it's the right time in the situation that, you know, the specific buyer is, to move forward.
Yeah. There is also, I'm throwing these numbers out there. There's another statistic that says, I want to get it right, more than 78% of people choose the first agent they talk to. I think that's what the statistic is. And it's like, well, I'm okay with that if I'm the agent, but if I'm not the agent, it's like, hey, because so in Austin here, and I'm curious what the Dallas number is, but here there are 16,000 agents, something like that. Over 90% of them do 1 or 0 transactions a year. But people think because they're licensed that they know what they're doing. And that doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. It just means I can prove that I know what I'm doing. I've done it.
I think, and honestly, like, I'm not good at statistics and numbers as you are, but I have read that, you know, it's a very small percentage of agents, the ones that do the majority of business.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of agents that just do, you know, 1 or 2 transactions a year, which is like 4 per year or something like that.
Yes.
So,
well, and it's because I don't think people understand that there are a lot of people that get licensed just to buy and sell their own homes.
oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, because think about it. Like, if you wanted to invest in property or you wanted to have some rentals or something, then being an agent, you have kind of an advantage because you don't pay realtor fees if you're representing yourself. It'd be like if you were a lawyer representing yourself.
I think that would be, you know, I don't even know if I would consider that as an advantage, because it's like you said it's like, I'm not a lawyer, but, you know, let's say getting the lawyer license would be as easy as getting the realtor license, right? Oh, I just get it and then I represent no, no, I don't know the tricks. I don't know how to negotiate. I don't know the ins and out of a contract. I haven't been, why would I represent myself and, set me up for failure? Or
I don't know why people do it though.
much better deal, even paying the realtor fees, but working with a realtor that knows what they're doing. You'll get much more advantages that way for sure.
I think the concern is that some people are driven by a number without understanding
Yeah.
the
How much?
value, or not even the value, but like the long-term cost. There are a lot of other things other than just a singular number.
Yeah.
Right? It's risk analysis. It's quality of life. There's just so many more factors.
And it goes back to, and I know, and this might be off of topic, but it just popped into my mind because of people trying to save some money.
Yeah.
And be out to like sometimes sellers that try to list their homes with like flat fee list.
Mm-hmm.
I just worked on that, on one of those representing the buyer. They don't have anybody negotiating for them.
Nope.
I got an excellent deal for my client, but up to some point I was just like even feeling a little bit bad for the seller because she didn't have anybody helping her out to negotiate or really advising what was best for her. And at the end she ended up finding me on Facebook and just like, hey, I'm the seller. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, you're represented by this flat fee company. And it turned out, she ended up seeing the value of having an agent, and I'm going to represent her on another property that she has for sale.
Good.
She understands, the value of having somebody that knows what they're doing on their side, negotiating and explaining everything. But yeah,
that's
money, lose a lot of money trying to do that.
Absolutely. I'm gonna throw another stat out there. 13% of for sale by owners, which are people that try to sell their houses themselves, 13% are successful. Everybody else hires an agent because they realize that they're not the ones that are going to do open houses. They're not the ones that know how to review their contract. They might bring it to a lawyer or something, but then you have to pay your lawyer fees. You still have to pay title. If you don't want to pay title, knowing how to negotiate, there's a lot to it. Anyway, that's like way.
They get less percent of what, but anyway.
Yeah.
We're getting sidetracked.
We are, but that's good. Sometimes I like getting sidetracked. I always like getting sidetracked. I get sidetracked a lot. I'm squirrely. Excuse me. Let's see. So how about for listing? So if somebody was talking about listing their home, they called you today, what would that conversation look like?
So what I always like to tell my clients, in being an agent, it's not, sometimes it's misunderstood as being salesy, but honestly, being an agent is really about informing the client and educating them, right? So whenever somebody calls me, hey, I want to sell my house, first I got to know the address, right? Like,
yeah,
house, right? And I think the second thing that I always ask them is, why do you want to sell it? What's the situation? What's the reason behind you wanting to sell? And that's where we get like, I want a bigger house, I want a smaller house. So what I always do, get the address, get the reason why they're selling, and then I basically do an appointment with them so I can see the house, I can see the area firsthand, and I just basically sit with them, look at the market with them together, and see how much we can sell the house for, if it makes sense, if it's the right time for them. And it's just a conversation to see if that's what they really want to do, or they was thinking about that.
Yeah. I will say I have dealt with clients that I don't think they actually wanted to sell their house. So then when it was happening, it felt like they were almost taking it out on me.
Oh, that's why you always have to, what's the reason?
Yeah, well, right. And I thought that was a clear conversation. Here's the reason. This is what the focus is. This is how much we are going to list it for. And everything was good. And then it happened. And then it was like backpedal. And I'm like, oh.
You know what I always ask them as well? Like, so what is the plan if this doesn't sell?
That's really good. That's a really good question. I don't hear that one a lot. That's good.
Yeah, you should always ask them. So they actually like have that in mind, and you don't want to list something to not sell it, right? we
Right.
do market analysis, and honestly, there are times where I do find people that don't really want to sell,
Mhm.
and you can see it whenever they're not being reasonable with pricing and they're not, letting you explain how the market is. Those are unreasonable sellers, and I had turned down listings wherever I see that it's not a good fit. I'm not going to be able to sell that house at a price that it's not in the market. It doesn't make sense with the market.
So you just said something really interesting right there. You said you've turned down listings. So explain that. Why would you like the fact that you are turning away business? I don't think people that want to sell their house would understand why an agent would walk away.
Well, it's kind of what I think the only reason why I've done that before is because the seller doesn't really want to sell their house. They want to list it for this much whenever we both know it's worth this much, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm not going to force them to price a house at a certain point, right? But we need to be in the same page of how much we can actually sell the house for. We're looking at, we can sell the house for this much, but if they're going this high and they won't move, I don't want to waste their time. I'm not going to waste my time. I don't want to waste their time. Why would I tell them that I can sell the house for that much if I know I can't, and I know I can't sell for that much? So I rather, you know what? I don't think I'm the right agent to like try to do it for this amount. If they want to try that amount, I will tell them, you know what, we'll keep it in the market for 2 weeks just to see how the market is reacting, right? If we have no visits, if no buyers want to see the house because it's overpriced, then we have to adjust the price. And if they're willing to have that conversation, then yes, we'll try the price that they want. But almost all the time we need to come down where the house needs to be priced at.
Yeah, those are really good points. I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people that try to sell it on their own end up losing out, because not only do they try to avoid paying an agent, but they also try to spike the value of their house on the market, and they overprice it, and it just sits, and they're like, well, I don't know why. It's like, well, because your cell phone pictures are problem number one. And then you don't want to pay anybody to actually do the work. And then also, like you said, if you're pricing it unrealistically, I think it's kind of skewed though, because so here we have this issue. I'm not going to say an issue. We have a common situation where someone has a house that's, I'll just say it's not a desirable house in desirable condition, but it's in an area where a lot of things are changing and it's moving fast. And so someone with a lot of resources, that's the word, someone with a lot of financial resources will come in and say, well, here's $500,000 for that because I want the land that the house is on. Then they'll tear the house down, put 2 condos for $1 million. Right? So people have that thing, or they watch these house shows, these fix it or flip it shows, and they think, oh, this is easy. I can do it. All I have to do is, put some caulk around the tub. Nobody will ever know.
No, yeah.
Nobody will ever know.
What you're saying.
So I think it's great. How do you see things going in 6 months? Buyers, sellers, the industry as a whole.
You know what? At this point, and I think everybody it's a lot of speculation of what's going to happen. At first, whenever this forbearance thing came out, and it's the first time that's coming out, this forbearance where you stop the payments of your house because you were affected, you were let go of your job, so you're stopping your work, so the house payment stops. At the beginning, nobody really not even the servicers, the banks knew how they were going to handle the situation.
Yes.
So for a long time, I think like a month or two, everybody was saying that the servicer then would actually be able to collect all the months that weren't paid at one time. So like
Right.
if you didn't pay your mortgage for 3 months, then you were going to pay the whole amount after those 3 months. So at that time, whenever that was happening, I was like, we're going to have so many short sales or foreclosures in those 3 months that people realize that they can't pay their house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? For me, it was just putting off the unavoidable. But now I actually saw, I think 2 days ago, my broker actually posted something where they were saying that the servicers or the banks were now giving the buy, not the buyers, but the people who own the houses this option of being able to actually pay the amount after like 15, 20 years after the mortgage is over. So at this point, I don't really know what's going to happen in 6 months. You know, it does really depend on how much or of how the loans are structured in the future, and how the servicers are going to structure the payments. But if that's the case, I think that we're going to see a reduction of short sales or foreclosures in the future. But, you know, I don't know. What about you? What do you think the market's going to be in 6 months?
So to your point about the forbearance, I don't think it was understood well originally. And now hearing that they can take that sum, all of your payments, put it at the end of your loan. If you think about it, someone who is who plans to sell their house, they have 30-year mortgage, they plan to sell their house in 5 years. Well, they just got a year of mortgage free, but then when they go to sell their house in 5 years, they won't have as much equity as they thought.
Yes, because
right?
you have to pay off that debt that you were supposed to pay at the end.
Right. So you still have to pay it, but God, that gives you a year to plan for it and prepare.
That would be great.
Be great.
That's what I'm saying. Like if it's actually this way, then I don't see, you know, a decline of prices in houses. But then again,
yeah. Well, that's if that stays. Here's the thing that I like to mention to a lot of people that are looking around this time. What happens is, I'm not saying it's positive or negative, but there's always some sort of blip when there's an election year. So it's an election year. We have another presidential campaign happening, and it always causes a change in the market, how people react, because they don't know if taxes are going to go up. It's really, our taxes going to be higher or lower, are our rates going to be higher or lower, and the speculation causes people to hesitate. Right? So I think due to the pandemic, we're having a late summer, an Indian summer. Is that what it's called? In India, I think it's called an Indian summer, where it's later than normal. But I also think that we're going to end up having a lull pretty quickly only because of that. Now, so to me, that means if you're thinking about making a move, strike while the iron's hot, strike while there's an opportunity, while you have low interest, because it's already hard enough to find a house. We have low inventory. That's why you have all these multiple offers. So If you are in a position to buy a house today, you'll be a lot better. I feel this is all speculation. I feel like you'll be better off than waiting until this same time next year.
Yeah, but it's even if the house is go on decline, if the price goes lower, you don't know if the interest rate is going to be the same.
Right. So the same house, a $200,000 house versus a $250,000 house, the payment could be the same based on how much the interest rate is. Also based on the taxes. Yep. That's for another time. But yeah, seriously, the interest rate. And people they miss that.
Yeah.
They miss that. So I always try to connect them with one of my mortgage partners or lending partners, just to say, have that conversation. I could guess all I want, but my job is to find you houses and to make sure that we tell ourselves a good story when we're presenting the offer.
Right.
And then to manage the stress along the way. Your job is to get the finances in order, and the lender can help you with that part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So let's see. Favorite quote and why?
Sorry.
That's all right. It's good.
A quote and what? Oh yeah, we were talking about this earlier. So And I don't think you responded to my question. I was asking if that was a quote, but
Oh yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I like it. I think that's a good one. Share it.
uh, so definitely, I think for every, if who's watching is a real estate agent or who's watching is a you know, a client or a buyer, it would be the fail forward. Don't be scared to try new things. Uh, it's not going to be perfect the first time or the second time. So just don't, not being scared or being scared, but in spite of your fear, doing it. I think that's the best thing you could do.
You know, it's interesting because that aligns very well with what we do for people. We help people. So let's say it's someone who's never owned a home before. They live in an apartment and they want or have always wanted to own their own piece of the earth and just didn't know where to start or have the fear.
Mhm.
The whole idea of our existence as realtors is to help them through the process. And I'm not going to say it's a fail, but it's you're never going to have, you're never going to go anywhere if you don't try.
Mhm.
And it's also important to understand that it's not going to be perfect the first time. You will never get the perfect house the first time, but you will get a great house. And when you realize how much money you're able to hold in equity and turn that into your next house or your dream house,
Oh yeah.
oh, it's incredible. So
For sure. I even, a lot of my first time home buyers, because many of them are in this situation, right, that they can't afford their dream house. I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, see the house, your first time, your first house, you can even see it as an investment, as a tool, as an investment, right? Because you're putting all this money in it, and you know, year after year, the houses have appreciated. So
yeah,
when you sell it, you can take the profit plus all the money that you already put in the house and put it towards your other down payment, another house, or even, you know, a rental, or you can
yeah.
get creative. But I always say use it as a tool, and how that can be translated, the failing forward could be translated for the home buying process as, don't be scared to ask questions and to try to move forward, right? Because if you are never asking or with that curiosity, you're never going to get anywhere, and you might not be ready that same you know, day that you try to buy a house, but 1 year, 2 years from now, you know, you can get prepared and actually do something.
Well, you're one step ahead because if you don't ask, you don't know. So the phrase is, you don't know what you don't know. So you're just kind of sitting there twiddling your thumbs. I have people, I know people that have seriously lived in an apartment for 20 years. And nothing against them, no judgment, right? But if they wanted to buy a house and just were afraid to ask the question because they didn't know who to ask, I'm not falling for that as an excuse anymore.
Pick up the phone. Hey,
Pick up the phone.
what's the process? What do I do?
Yeah,
And
what do I do?
all the time.
I
Hey,
will say I get with all the things that you see on the news and all that sort of, people start getting leery. They're like, I don't know who to trust. I don't know. Well, that's why we're having these conversations and sharing the information with people so they get educated and they can see that we do know what we're talking about and we are value added to the community and all that sort of thing.
we need leaders now more than ever.
More than ever. That's a whole other topic too. Anyway, okay, so if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that? What's the
Um,
best way? Social media, website?
you know what? I think social media. I'm pretty active more on Facebook. I have my
Okay.
Facebook page where
Okay.
they can go in, see reviews, and I always like posting pictures with my past clients as well, because new clients always like to see that you actually know what you're doing and that you've helped actually real people through the process. So that, you know, I like to read it. I like to direct people to my social media because of that. And that has my contact information just in case my phone number changes or my email changes.
Right.
That's the, you know, it's just my name, Marlene Luviano, which is going to be constant, I hope for.
Yeah. And then your website's on the Facebook page too?
I don't have a website, I think. Although
Really?
you can teach me later about that too.
Okay, all right, we'll talk about that. But what I'll do is for anybody anybody who's curious and wants to get in touch with Marlene, I'll make sure to put all of her contact information or her Facebook page in the description below the video, so that you can reach out to her if you have any questions or you want to know more, or you're ready to buy a house or sell a house or whatever the thing is. Maybe you're relocating from Dallas to Austin or from Austin to Dallas, and
There you go.
you need to get us both on the phone. That's fine too. So
We both help out.
Marlene, thank you so much for taking the time. Do you have any last questions, anything that we need to talk about?
No, thank you so much. I know this was kind of a improvise on both of our sides.
That's okay.
Let's do it. But I honestly enjoy this type of talks and conversations, and like you said, being able to put some of the knowledge that we have out and putting ourselves out as a resource for people. I think it's great and it's important, and more people should be doing it.
Awesome. All right. You have yourself a good one. Thank you so much once again.
Bye.
Later, everybody.